Charlie Brown.
Oh, hello, Olivia.
Oh, hello, Jeremy.
Olivia, how are you?
I'm doing great. 75 degrees and sunny here in Michigan. So,
Whew, whew. You brought that Los Angeles weather back to Detroit. Amazing, amazing. I have the pleasure of knowing you quite well. We've known each other for a long time. You are a very good friend. I love your husband. I'm looking forward to finally meeting your daughter extremely soon. I know who you are. Why don't you tell our OhHello audience who I have the pleasure of speaking with right now and who they're listening to?
for sure. So, my name is Olivia Kory. I started my career in the advertising industry in Chicago, media agency called Starcom in the Publicis family, and then I joined you, Jeremy, at TubeMogul before moving out to LA, where I was in the growth marketing world at Netflix, at Quibi, at Sonos, and then I left last August to join my kind of longtime business partner Zach on building out seed stage startup and really like the marketing incrementality platform that we wished we could have recommended to folks. So
And
that's
what's that startup? What is that startup called?
called Haus. And then also I'm a new mom, not to forget that part. We have
Amazing.
here and an almost 1-year-old puppy as well.
Amazing. And as you mentioned, you've worked across some amazing spots between Tube, then going to Netflix and Quibi and Sonos, and some fantastic experiences that led you to now be a co-founder and builder of Haus. With that said, what defines you? Tell us a little bit more about who you are and just the skill set that you're going to be sharing with the OhHello community.
Yeah, so functional expertise, growth marketing, kind of through and through, anything in that world. But I think from a mentorship perspective, I've kind of weaved in between startups and big companies. So anyone kind of looking to make that transition, I think I can be helpful in talking that through. And then also the transition from brand side to sales side, like kind of I've done both, started on the agency side, but actually became a vendor and then hopped over to the brand side. And now I'm back on the sales side. So anyone trying to make a transition, I feel like I've seen a lot of different organizations at this point, and could probably share some advice on what that looks like.
Well said, for sure. You've mastered a lot of different skills at this point, and between CS, operations, marketing, sales, revenue driving, analytics, measurement. There's a lot that you're going to be able to offer, and sizes of companies. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. What excites you about mentorship? What excites you about what OhHello is going to be driving and supporting and building over time to mentees within the tech ecosystem?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is I think about lately what I've been talking to folks about. The most common question I get is being a working mother and kind of what that looks like. And I think I found myself always unsure and wanting permission to have a career that I felt excited about and also have a family. And I think that's just something that comes up every day now, and I'm living through it. And I think it's really important to talk to folks about that. And in that way, that's just most recently, I feel like what I've been really valuing in my conversations with my mentors and my family, and what hopefully I can bring. And there's just a lot of things that you ask this question often, like, what do you wish you could tell your 25-year-old self?
Yeah.
There's so much. So I'm excited to actually share some of those stories with the community.
As a new mom and as someone who's building a seed stage startup that is absolutely going up and to the right, and making waves within the ecosystem. It's a lot. It's daunting. Having a puppy, having a toddler. You had a newborn, between newborn and infant stage when you first joined Haus. Would your words of quick encouragement be just in advice, just to other young moms, to other young dads, just go for it. Just take one day at a time. Just remember it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah, I got the advice when I was considering joining Haus, like, you shouldn't have to choose. Like, you really shouldn't have to choose between a family and a career that you want and a career that you love. And once I gave myself that permission and I made that decision, it all kind of falls into place. But I found for many years, I was like, oh, well, at this stage in my life, I'm going to need to settle down so that we can have a family. And it's just not how it works. And I've been talking to like just some really badass female executives. Like, I'm not the first person who's gone through this. And so
Nope.
talking to folks about it has been really reassuring. And like, I by no means have it figured out, but day to day, we're making it work. And like, that's, that's what I wish that I kind of knew going in, is that you don't have to plan this stuff so perfectly and that you can have a career that you're excited about, and be a parent.
Amazing. Great words of wisdom, my friend. Who are some of your top mentors, personally and professionally, that have made an impact on you?
I've had so many former bosses who are awesome. Like, I feel incredibly fortunate and lucky, to have had the mentors that I've had over the years. Just starting off, like you and Tom Riordan at TubeMogul,
Thank
you've
you. Obviously.
of like what it means to lead with empathy and get the most out of your team without being an asshole. Like, that was, I think, really important, seeing that early on in my career.
Thank you.
Tom, of course, Tom, from a like what it really means to be a good, smart media buyer, and really kind of taught me a lot of the functional fundamentals and kind of principles that I've taken with me, for a while. And then in the kind of LA chapter, Juan Bongiovoni was my boss at Netflix and at Quibi, running the growth team. And he's super unique leader, very direct, very smart. Everybody who's worked with Juan says, like, I came up and I studied at the Juan Bongiovoni School of Growth. It's like
Awesome.
everybody who's worked on his team has said, like, that was one of the best professional experiences of their life. And so that's, I think I'm so lucky to have worked with him. And
You've
then
told me about him.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
definitely.
excited to one day meet him.
And then, well, he's in Berlin now, so good luck. Hi, Juan, if you're out there listening. But more recently, like I said, I think some of the female leaders in my life I've been talking to more. Ambereen Toubassy was the CFO at Quibi, badass leader, super smart, and who I try to model kind of myself off of when I'm thinking about what kind of leader I want to be. And then, last but not certainly not least, I think my mom, who is
Sharon Kory.
Sharon Kory, is just powerhouse. Like, had 3 kids, working mother, incredibly successful business, and continues to run, that she continues to run, self-employed. So I've just had so many people that I look up to, and I think a lot of the Netflix folks also, kind of model their leadership style off of Reed Hastings. So I'll throw that one in there as like the lesser known tech CEO, who doesn't really seek out the spotlight, but who all of us have just kind of modeled ourselves off of over the years.
That's badass. Well, thank you for mentioning me. I sincerely appreciate that. I love our friendship, and it's been so fun watching you just crush it professionally and personally, because I care about the personal aspect as much as I care about the professional. Actually, I care about the personal part more than the professional part. But nonetheless, thank you. And thanks for mentioning them. I'm sure all of your mentors are going to be able to appreciate that, because that's that sense of altruism. It's part of why we are building OhHello, to be able to provide access to everybody, to be able to pick and choose who you want to be able to speak with because of their level of expertise. And then after the session, the mentor, the hello, gets to donate to a cause that's near and dear to their heart. So anywhere between 1 to 100% of the fees can go to that. So with that said, Olivia, what are some charitable or philanthropic causes that are close to your heart?
Yeah, one I'll focus on is Everytown for gun safety. I think they're the largest gun violence prevention organization, really trying to demand action from elected officials. I'm also open-minded to learning more about like what else can be done in this space. Like I'm eager to make an impact, and so in that way I'm excited to see what other folks are doing in terms of charitable organizations and in ways to make an impact. And I know you're passionate about this one too, Jeremy. So
I am. I appreciate you calling that out. Any other parting words of wisdom, advice, guidance that you want to give to the our OhHello audience, the folks who are going to be watching this on LinkedIn, on YouTube, listening, wherever they listen to their podcasts, so on and so forth?
yeah, like try to step back and appreciate the journey while you're on it. Like so many times in almost every role I've been in, like it's that office quote where it's like you don't realize you're in the good old days until you've left them. Where it's like the further away it gets in the rear view mirror, the more I'm like, that was such an awesome team. And I should have told them when we were in it together how awesome it really was. And like at Haus right now, things are crazy. But I think now I've had enough experiences where I'm like, these are all good things. These are customers wanting more from you. And
Right.
we're going to look back on this and say, like, this was definitely the good old days. And yeah, I think in that way, don't be afraid to fail. Like the other big kind of a piece of advice that I would give myself is like one of the best professional experiences that I've had is working at Quibi, which was a failed streaming startup shut down 6 months after launching. And like again, we look back on that now, like years later, and say that was one of the most important, I think, experiences that we could have ever had. So take
So
risks,
happy.
don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, don't be afraid to fail. Well, I'm happy that you brought that up, both of those aspects up. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Really appreciate it. This was fun. Thanks, Olivia. Bye, everybody.